What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Stefan, a.k.a. Sneaky G. Red. I am with none other than the True Blue.
What's
Good
up?
evening, sir.
Good
As you
evening.
can tell, we, as of yet, do not have a Washington person. That's
I know I
one.
was going to send out some texts earlier. I just got swamped with work.
No, tell me about it. And two, Jamie is on the scene. AKA Phillysportsguy. Also, today is it's his birthday.
Yep. Happy
He
birthday to the Philly sports guy.
he is now 86 years old. Looks really good for his age. Doesn't show with all that makeup on, right? And I meant it. I meant to, send him a post, something. But like you, I've been busy all day doing stuff, but I'm still gonna make time for my nemesis. Um, so until he comes on, I guess we could go ahead and get started.
There you go. Let's
What do you
do it.
think about? What do you think? You think we should do it?
Oh, yeah, we can do it.
So what do you want to talk about first? I say we go ahead and start with the good. And what I mean by the good, you guys are doing good right now, right? 5-1, trucking along, leading the NFC East. Um, go ahead. This is your time now to talk about the state of the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, well, as everyone has seen this past weekend, the Dallas Cowboys are in a lot better position than they were the previous years. And what I mean by that is that, we finally see a team out of the Dallas Cowboys that is overcoming what they weren't able to do, in years past, which is struggle and still overcome with both offense and defensive plays with the limited players that we even have on defense. So it's a new team. It's a new day. I think the Cowboys are going to be even proven, better than what I even expected as far as we go forward from here. But the Dallas Cowboys are pretty hot right now, and I'm liking it, every aspect of it, from the offense to the defense. And again, like I said, we're missing some players that we should be getting back here pretty soon. And it's going to be a fun ride going forward.
Do you see any chink to their armor right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same old, story that I've been suffering right now. It's the interior defensive line. I think, with the big plays that that the Cowboys are still allowing to get through the middle, through the nose, and we've got the bookends, but the middle is still where we're having the problem. I think the secondary is doing what they should be doing. I think the defensive end should be doing what they're doing. It's just that interior line that we're having the difficulties, where teams are starting, the Patriots realized it and they were able to get through, 3 plays, and then they scored on that defensive one. So, it's, I wouldn't say it's really, the armor we have to worry about, but
Right.
if we don't improve, we're going to have some trouble there. And I think we will once we get Gallimore back in there from that elbow injury.
I don't. I'm actually surprised. Not the fact that you guys won on Sunday. I'm not surprised. For me, the Patriot Cowboy game could have went either way. Okay.
Yeah.
I felt it, and I felt that Belichick would have been better prepared to take on the Dallas Cowboys. I didn't see the whole game. I only saw bits and pieces, and then I ended up going on with my life. So, well, I will say when I saw, I saw a little bit of the third quarter, changed the channel, and then I got the alert saying that it was an overtime, and then I saw the overtime drive. I don't understand. I mean, especially with the man, the coach that you guys were going against, and Bill Belichick,
Yeah.
who, they call it the Patriot way, where every game that's played, it's so-called they're prepared. They come ready to play, next man up, blah, 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 blah. But in overtime, you let CD Lamb one-on-one. Not only that, you let him burn your corner. Now, this kind of that whole touchdown reminded me of the 2011 Super Bowl highlights, right? Where
Yeah.
Giants and the Patriots, where you hear Belichick saying that it's a cruise and was it Hicks? It was he named, I can't remember. God forgive me, I can't remember the other receiver that he mentioned. He didn't mention Mario Manningham, because eventually Mario Manningham caught the ball on the sideline to lead the way to on that drive to score the winning touchdown for the Giants. Now, I say that because CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper are the two receivers on the team that you want to watch.
Yeah.
And he got the go-ahead touchdown. CeeDee Lamb did.
Well, there's one more play before that was even more important than that, and that was the Wilson reception on fourth down. With that sideline, catch, with fourth and 4, 4th and 3, over the top of the defender, him coming down on that one knee on the sideline was of utter importance. Also, to keep moving the chains after the penalties, because this was a penalty-driven game. I mean, right off the bat, the Cowboys were being, flagged. And I don't know if you heard some of the remarks from some of the players, but, of course, Zeke will probably be fined for what he said, but it's neither here or there. But basically, it was the Cowboys versus the Patriots plus the Zebras. And, I mean, that's what it felt like watching that. Yeah, there was some, questionable calls, and there was some penalties, but the calls that were being made, I mean, were egregious at most. It was just disturbing watching it firsthand for the plays that weren't being called on the opposite side of the ball, seeing it firsthand. But again,
you guys had
Wilson
a total
was
of
important.
You guys had 12 penalties.
Oh, it was bad.
It was 12 penalties for 115 yards. And we'll touch on that in a little bit too. But
Yep.
I still can't believe a Belichick-led team was not prepared. I mean, it is what it is. You guys won, whatever. But I'm just like I'm still like in shock on how lack of preparation that team is right now. Obviously, it's a completely different team since Brady left.
Correct.
Either you put that on the coach, because the players got to execute. I mean, that's what it comes down to it. But I'm looking at the box scores. So you guys had 32 first downs to their 17 rushing yards, 122 to 120. Let's see, passing 445, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick to Jones's 22. I'm sorry, 229 yards, 2 TDs, a pick. You got to Jones twice. 20 yards, 567.
Yep.
Wow. That's good.
Yeah, and there's the one that you always like to call out the most, and time of possession.
Mm-hmm.
39 minutes.
Yep. I mean, a couple more seconds, we could probably say an even 40 if we want to round it up.
Yep.
To now, and to me, that's kind of telling, because for that type of time of possession, it shouldn't have been a close game. And 9 times out of 10. I mean, when you look at that, it shouldn't have been it honestly would have been. It should have been a blowout. But I mean, obviously, with the yardage, 567. And what? How many? 32 first downs. I mean, that obviously tells you gives you the story of the time of possession.
Yeah, and one of the we had the drives, the turnover in the end zone that was picked off, and then he was going to Wilson, and then the 4th and 1 conversion where they called it a fumble touchback. Those types of plays. But you look at what the time of possession that the Patriots had, and the short amount of time. So when we went 4th and 1 on our side and they got the ball, it took them 3 plays to get into that end zone. And then they had that quick strike after the Diggs pickoff that lasted 15 seconds. So, I mean, you got 2 scores right back to back. And again, there's no excuse for that. But yeah, with what the offense did and the defense did, it should have been a blowout. We should have had more points on the board while not allowing as much that happened.
So with the 12 penalties, you know what? I'll agree with you. There's a lot of ticky-tack calls in the NFL. I actually feel at times that refs want to be on TV more than the players do. They need to get their due. and I could be I could be just I'm just being egregious towards referees, because our Giants, we'll talk about them in a little bit. At what point, being 5-1, okay, and having the type of games, because if you look at it, 12 penalties compared to 5.
Yep.
At what point? And McCarthy kind of reeling, and this is just one game. I don't know what the other games look like with regards to penalties with the Dallas Cowboys, but I do know this has to be a season high.
That it is.
And at what point is McCarthy going to kind of address the team and say, hey, if we want to get far, if we want to get past winning a hat, meaning a division championship,
correct,
we can't have these type of mental mistakes.
Yeah, I think that's rolling over, and Dan Quinn was going to be taking care of that. But a lot of those were on the offensive side, and we had some plays taken away from us that were huge because of those holding penalties and personal foul on 5-2 Connor. It's just a whole, again, yes, this will lead back to McCarthy, and I believe he will take care of it. It hurt to watch those plays being pulled back. After a 40-yard gain, we get called back 10 yards because of a holding penalty, which should have never happened. But again, I'm not going to judge what the Zebras referees did on the field.
Right.
I'll let the game speak for itself, or their calls speak for themselves. But the NFL, again, we've been complaining all year about what the refs are doing and what they're not doing. And again, this is one of those games where they're not doing their job as they should be. You can't allow something to be played on one side and not the other. And the only one that they got right was both horse collars.
Okay.
So
right now in the NFC, obviously you guys are leading the division. And I don't like doing like Super Bowl predictions or wild card chases until the midway mark. But let's just take a quick look at it. Let's just take a quick nod to it. So right now, if the playoffs were starting today, Dallas Cowboys would be the 4th seed. Okay. Yep. Now with the 4th seed, so you got Arizona, and then you got Bucks, Packers, Cowboys. Arizona is the only undefeated team in the NFL, and then you have the Bucks, Packers, and Dallas at 5-1. Then you got the Rams as a wild card team at 5-1,
and they're playing good ball.
They're playing well. Yeah, they freaking put a spank down on us. And then you got the Saints and you got the Vikings. Okay. So Arizona would have the bye. Let's see. The Bucks would play Minnesota, because Minnesota's the number 3. and the number 2 plays number 3, and then number 3 would play number 2, which would be the Saints.
Yep.
And then you guys would be playing the Rams in the first round at home.
Yep.
Now, again, this is just a shoot in the dark, right? This is just a friendly discussion. What do you think that outcome would be?
I think with the team knowing who the quarterback is for the Rams, I think the game would be close, but I think the Cowboys would prevail on top.
Mm-hmm.
Because, they have a great defense. I'm not going to take that away from them, but it's the quarterback situation that the Cowboys are familiar with. The defense of the Cowboys are familiar with, and I believe that they've got Matt Stafford's number. I really believe that. And you can change his jersey all you want, but it's still the same QB. So I think that's what the difference would be in that game.
That would be interesting to see because, true, I mean, you could say that the Cowboys have Matt Stafford's number, but then you could say Sam Darnold has Dak's number. The last playoff game, I think it was that Super Bowl run that they had when they went into LA.
Yep.
Now, granted, this was a team led by Goff.
Yep.
But I want to say it was more so the running game, not necessarily the passing game, that got them by the Cowboys.
Yep.
To go to the NFC Championship game where that gift that they got from the refs to get them in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And people want to argue, oh, they still had a chance to whatever. Okay, well, that's for another discussion. I would love to see that game. I would love to see that being played. I mean, if it stays the way it is and it plays out the way it does. Now, granted, the West is a tough division.
Yep.
The NFC West is a tough division. So you're going to either have Arizona or you're going to have the Rams in either in the divisional spot or in the wild card spot. Now, let's go on. Let's say that you guys do beat the Rams, field goal, time runs out. Okay.
Okay.
So you guys are the low seed. You would most likely go to Arizona with Kyler Murray, AJ Green, D-Hop, JJ Watt. I mean,
great defense, great offense.
They're playing damn good football right now.
Yeah, they are.
Do you think if that scenario played out the way it did, that the Cowboys would have a chance to get past Arizona?
Oh, most definitely. And you got the one-on-one, Diggs and what's his name? Number 10.
D-Hop.
D-Hop. Yeah, DeAndre Hopkins. And so you would see who has the bigger island on that game. Yeah, JJ Watt is a hell of a lineman, and I'm not going to take anything away from him. But again, it'll be one of those scenarios who's going to play for what. And mind you, they've got to come into our home first this year. They have to come in week 16 to play us. So that game can very well be important to see who has the home field advantage.
Right. That would determine. Well, also too, it all depends on how far you guys play in the stretch.
Yep.
Case in point, let's see. All right, so let's look at you guys are on bye this week. Then you have then you have Minnesota.
Yep.
Broncos, Falcons, KC, Raiders. You said week 16, right?
Yeah, for a week.
Well, I'm sorry.
Yeah, second to last game, week 17.
It is week 17. You're right. It is week 17. But before you got the Saints, the football team. You got us in New York, and then you got 2 home, and then the last one is away.
Yep.
That Cardinals game can be a huge building block. I mean, that could But you also got to look at Tampa Bay,
Yep.
and you also got to look because you're playing. No, you already played Tampa Bay, so Tampa Bay has the head-on-head with you.
Yep.
And let's look at Arizona's schedule. They got the Texans. Ooh, they play the Packers. That's going to be a good one. 49ers, Carolina, Seattle. Then they got the bye. Chicago, Rams. That's a divisional team. And then they have Detroit, Indianapolis. You guys are going to have to win every single game from here on out to compete for that number one spot in the NFC.
Yeah, and that's the thing, that I'm not going to say is going to be. I know we're going to have a bump in the road somewhere along the way, and which is going to be expected. But I believe so are the Cardinals. I believe so are the Packers. I think when you start getting in the stretch of things, week 12 on, you're going to have those injuries that you don't want. Those injury bugs are going to come sneaking their heads out, and it is what it is, though. You got to go with next man up, as everybody says, but. This is where the coaching is going to come in on who the next man's going to be up and how well they're coached. It's all going to be about, what the coordinators are going to be doing to try and set things aside to make sure that all their players have the knowledge and have the skill in order to be the next man up.
So I'm looking at the Packers, and I totally agree with what you're saying because so the Packers have the football team, Arizona. So they have the football team, which, I mean, they should beat them. They're playing in Green Bay, Washington is. Then the Packers are going to Arizona, then KC. Now, granted, KC is not what they used to be. 2 years removed from the Super Bowl. They have their struggles. So that game is still going to be a coin. I mean, I would put Green Bay ahead. Not by much, but I'd still put them ahead. Well, yeah, I wouldn't say I'm not gonna say they're gonna blow them out necessarily, but I could see the Packers winning that one. I could see them beating. They got the Seahawks because I don't think Russell's gonna be back by then.
No,
they're gonna be at Minnesota, where Rodgers performs very well in Minnesota, and then the challenge comes right here. They go against Arizona in Week 8. That's going to be, and they're playing in Arizona. Many people forgot about the playoff game. It was the year before Rodgers won the Super Bowl.
Yep, 2009.
Yep, where he fumbled that snap, and Arizona.
Not the face mask.
Nope. Where they showed McCarthy just fall to his knees.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if there's some stigma to that. I don't know. But when I think of Arizona and the Green Bay Packers, that's the first thing I think of. And I'm gonna say a little hot take, and I don't care if people clip this or not. I'm gonna say that Murray, and it's not because I'm a Dallas Cowboy hater. Everybody knows that. But I'm just saying, and this is off the eye test, okay? As shifty Kyler Murray is and how effective he is with his run game, I would put the edge over Murray when it came to the running game between Dak and Murray. I mean, I'd give him the slight edge. I would give Kyler Murray the slight edge over Dak.
Oh yeah, most definite.
And again,
he's a lot quicker player.
And it's all in the hips.
Yeah.
If you see the way he runs, he could lose you in a phone booth. You could not tackle Kyler Murray in a phone booth if you tried. The guy, I mean, yeah, he's like 3 foot something, okay? But his motor keeps on going. And again, I'm not taking anything. I mean, yeah, I hate the Cowboys, but I'm not gonna personally attack Dak. And I'm not saying that because of his injury, he's hesitant or whatever the case may be. I'm just calling it like it is. As a lot of these TikTok sports analysts would say, the eye test. I would put it over Dak. I mean, not by a much, but Yeah, about as an amount, and also his arm too. I mean, you cannot forget how Kyler Murray, when he came in to Dallas last year and just torched you guys. Yes, Dak was hurt. That's the first thing a lot of Cowboys fans are going to say. Yes, Dak was hurt, but and there's a different defensive coordinator now, and Diggs wasn't on the team then. Okay, but Kyler Murray is playing on a different level now. That it could possibly be unmatched. Now, I've seen many teams in the NFL go 7-0 and miss the playoffs. I've seen teams go 9-0, win the division, home field advantage, and lose in the first round.
That happened to us in 16.
Yeah, and also, that did. Yeah, you guys went 13-3, and the same thing in 07 too. So there's a lot of football that got to be played. We're not even close.
A lot. But going back to what you were talking about between Dak and Kyler, the one thing is I would have to give the better, skills. Okay, I'll give the skills, of running around and whatever. But as far as football mentality and knowing the plays and reading the defenses, I'd give that to Dak. And I think, with running quarterbacks such as Kyler Murray and the kid out of Baltimore, one of the things that is always, as a defensive coordinator, you want to have is just containment. You don't want them running through you. You want them to figure something out to get the ball down the field.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all you have to do to stop these guys. I say that lightly, but there's always a defense that can stop those types of great athletes in the backfield. And that's one of them, just containment. Make sure that they don't get past you on through the middle or the outside. Make sure they throw the ball. Depend on your defense and your secondary, and I think it'll be a tighter, game. And that's really all you have to do. And I'm not saying that lightly, but these guys are great athletes. From a defensive standpoint, I think we have, I understand J.J. Watt is better, at his position, but I've got Randy Gregory and I've got Tank Lawrence coming back, hopefully here by week 8 to play Minnesota, and that guy's hungry. So again, like you said, week 9, week 10, week 12, that's where we start getting into the meat of the things, and we'll see who wins and who loses.
Yeah, that's facts. For me, I am going to play devil's advocate about what you're saying about understanding the plays when it came to Dak and Kyler. And the only reason why I'm giving you just a little bit of a nudge of a pushback is the fact that Kyler didn't have a coach this week, and they did well, better than well. Now, I could sit here and say, yeah, it was the Browns, but the Browns are playing some football. Now, and to kind of expand on that, the Browns are on the outside looking in if the playoffs were to start today, but they're not the 0-17 Browns. This is a whole different group. Now to just jump back on the Packers and their journey, if you will, throughout the season. So they got Arizona, then they got KC, then they got to play Seattle. So those 3 games are going to be somewhat tough, although Rodgers gets a bonus because he's playing Seattle in Green Bay.
Yeah.
Rodgers does not want to play Seattle in Seattle. If it's Russ or Geno Smith playing, and I'm just saying that because of the NFC Championship game where he was basically 3 minutes away from the Super Bowl, and he was one onside kick away of getting that plane ride.
Yeah.
Minnesota, he normally plays very well at Minnesota. Then he has the Rams, which is going to be a telling game. And then they got the Bears, which he'll say that he owned them. And let's see, then they go on a bye. And then Chicago in Green Bay. And then they're at Baltimore, which I think that's going to be a tough game.
Yeah.
Right now, Baltimore is on top of the AFC if the playoffs were to start today.
And you got to look at, this past weekend, Geno Smith was showing something with the Seahawks.
Right.
He I think he has a little bit more to prove as a backup quarterback than he did as a starting quarterback. But I think he's going to go in there and try and play his best ball, and Seattle could walk out with one right there. With the defense that they got and with, the attitude that Geno Smith is going to go in there, because it's not going to be Russell. He won't be back until week 15 if they need him. I mean, that finger was pretty bad, but I think Geno Smith's got something to prove.
You know what? And for Geno's sake, I'm rooting for him. I hope he does have some kind of success.
Yeah.
Because like many quarterbacks started in New York and just didn't work out. I mean,
that's a tough market.
He's not the first one to go in there and not succeed. So then Rodgers also goes, Baker Mayfield. Hopefully he'll be back by then. He's out with injury. They go into Green Bay. And then the Packers finish off with 2 divisional games, which is the Vikings and Detroit. I could honestly see, and not to put any slight on the Browns, I can see Rodgers winning the last 3 at minimum. They're, going into the playoffs with the 3-game winning streak. Now, I'm not going to go in and predict, go through each game and predict what I think, but at least I know he's going to beat Detroit. There's no way.
And he's got one of his best linemen coming back from that knee injury.
Right. Yep.
So that's pretty huge.
So
yeah, he's gonna prove some ball, and I think Washington also. That you said they play KC this week.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, I think Washington has something to prove too, and I think their defensive line.
No, Washington played. I'm sorry, Washington played KC last week.
Okay.
Who do they? I think they.
Oh yeah. They got beat 31.
Yeah. Who does? And I'll get into that with Washington here.
That's right.
Now with the Cardinals, I know we got to. So let's talk about the Cardinals real quick. So they just beat the Browns. So they got Houston Texans. We talked about the Packers, right? Then they got a divisional game with the 49ers. Then Carolina comes into San Fran. And they go to Seattle. Now, that's always been a good rivalry game.
Yeah.
And then they go to Chicago. And then they play the Rams.
Yeah, I think that NFC West is going to tighten up a little bit. The Rams are going to be just as hungry. And if they've got, some games left against the Cardinals, it's going to be a little tighter.
If the Rams get swept by the Cardinals this year, that got to make you worried.
Yeah.
If the Rams get swept by the Cardinals this year, you got to start thinking, okay, that's going to be a potential matchup.
Yeah, well, let's see week 12, 13 up, and then I'll start to acknowledge that.
Right. Of course.
As it sits right now, I think that NFC West is going to be fun. Again, Washington is going to have something to prove, just like you guys are going to have something to prove, besides playing these out of conference games. It's going to be interesting to see, we still have several left as well. I think you guys are going to do a lot better against these opponents than again in the AFC than the NFC, but again, it's neither here or there until the game's played.
Right. And I agree. And actually we should start talking about the Giants here in a sec, but I do want to touch base with the Bucks too. I'm looking at the Bucks. And they have, I could be wrong, one of the easiest schedules. Now, again, this is why we play the game.
Yeah.
Right? We're being a Monday. I'm being a Monday quarterback. You're just being a good sport and listening to me talk this whole time. But hear me out. I'm gonna say some games right now So the Bucks beat Philly. Okay. Stop me when you see a loss on the Bucks.
All right.
I'm just gonna go down the list, and I want you to stop me. Okay. Bears, at Saints, at football team, at Giants, at Giants.
I'm gonna go with.
I said, stop me.
I know
when
what
you
you
see
said.
they're gonna get a loss at Giants.
It's gonna be dependent on who you guys got.
It's Giants. All right, we'll pass. That's a pass. That's a pass.
That's a pass.
Colts. They're at the Colts. They're at the Falcons. Buffalo Bills. They're in Tampa.
There's a loss. In Tampa?
They're in Tampa.
Ooh.
New Orleans, at Carolina, at New York against the Jets, and at Carolina again. So you don't even see them losing one game for the rest of this. Now it could happen. It could happen.
No, I'm gonna say the Bills and the Saints.
So you think they're gonna get at least one loss from the Saints?
Yeah. Yeah, I think Sean is going to be getting somewhere in that defensive coordinator side and getting in his ear and letting them know what they're going to have to do. I don't think the Saints want to go out like that, especially within their own division. But the Bills is going to be a good game depending on the weather there. Is it going to be raining in Tampa?
Well, let's see. It's going to be in December. So it's going to be cold, and by cold, it's going to be in the mid-60s.
Yeah, with the rain.
Is it hurricane season down that time frame?
No.
Hold on,
no,
Tank.
October, November.
What's up, Tank? Cardinals are no joke, but will they choke when it really matters? And after this, we'll move on to the Giants. Kyler Murray has played in some big-time games. He did not lose one single game as a high school football player. Not one. He won 3 straight state championships. Played out in, was it South Lake or was it Arlington? I can't remember. And college, he took his team the first year. He took his team to the college football playoffs. The Final Four. So if anybody's going to choke, I don't see it being Kyler Murray. I could see the people around him.
Yeah.
Maybe not stepping up their game. But as far as people in general, I don't see it.
So yeah, that's why I'm saying, like the Dallas Cowboys this past week proved to me and proved to a bunch of others that when it really got tough and being down the way we were down and they came back, it's tough to do that in any game, let alone when you're away facing the crowd as well. But, if you can see teams doing that, then I would say, yeah. If you can see the Cardinals coming back from, 14 points down, 7 points down, 10 points down on an away game, coming back the way that, the Cowboys were with everything that they gave up. I mean, we were trying to beat ourselves at that game. You have to see what they're going to do here in the later runs.
So now there's 20 minutes left in the show. I tried to milk it as long as I could, so we didn't have to talk about my Giants, my beloved Giants.
We still got,
but we got to do it.
Yeah.
So, because there's no Washington fan, and Phillysportsguy, even though it's his birthday,
he's in the club.
He's having a good time. So we're just going to talk about our 2 teams. Wait, Philly. That's right, because Philly lost.
Philly lost to Tampa.
And the football team lost.
Yep.
Okay, good. We talked about them. So, you see what I did there?
I saw it. I heard it.
the it's painful. It's very painful this year. I wish I could put my finger on why we're doing so bad again this year. I wish I could put my finger on what we need to fix. Um, my show last night, we talked about cleaning house again. We talked about hiring another GM again, bringing in a new head coach again. But there's a ripple effect when that happens.
Mm-hmm.
And the ripple effect is a new coaching staff, new quarterback,
New
uh,
coordinators.
new coordinators. The question mark: what are we going to do with Barkley? There's there's a lot of talk, right? Um, yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. Need NY beat. Oh, I'm pretty sure you meant need. Yeah. He corrected it. I got you, Tank. Don't worry. I need a whole new coaching staff. I don't want to go through okay, at some point now I wish we could go back to the good old days when coaches were coaches and they got a chance to develop their teams. Okay, now what I mean by that is let me go back here. Okay. So Parcells. Okay, here we go. Parcells. Where are we at? Parcells 1, 2, 3. So Parcells went 3-12 his first year. He went 9-7 his second year, and then he went 10-6, 14-2. So there was a steady progression. But then after we won the Super Bowl, we went 6-9 in '87. But then we went right back, went 10-6, 12-4, 13-3, won the Super Bowl, and then that's when Hanley took over. And then when Hanley took over, for the first 2 years, 8-8, 6-10, and I'm going with the reason.
Yeah, I got you.
But I'll speed it up. So Reeves took over in '93, immediately went to 11-5, lost in the divisionals. We went 9-7, then 5-11, 6-10, and then in '97 we went 10-5-1, and that was under Fossil. That was Fossil's first year as head coach.
Yeah.
But then 8-8, 7-9, and then year 5 we made it to the Super Bowl when we eventually lost to the Ravens. What I'm saying is we got to go through some growing pains. This is Coach Judd's second year. If I were to lobby or to not, I don't want to say, if I were to defend Judge, we got to have some kind of continuity. We got to have some kind of consistency in order to move on. Look, before Judge, Shermer was only there for 2 years. McAdoo was only there for 2.5 years. And even the year before that, we went 11-5, lost in the wild card. But then the following year, we went 13-3. McAdoo was out before the season even ended. 2 years with Schumer, and now they're talking 2 years with Judge. Now, I'm just talking like the fans. The fans want Judge gone.
Yeah.
We cannot treat our head coaches like iPhones.
And that's what's going on. That's the league. What have you done for me lately?
We can't upgrade
I'm gonna point something out that everyone fails to see, and it's pretty fun when everybody fails to see. I've always said that there's some coordinators who shouldn't be head coaches. They're just not cut out to be. They're better coordinators than they are head coaches.
Uh-huh.
And point in case is, who is the defensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Bucks?
I don't know.
He had a head coaching position with the New York Jets.
Oh, Bowles. Is it Bowles?
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, you look at our coordinator. He was the head coach for the Atlanta Falcons. He's now our defensive coordinator. There's just some better, people that make better coordinators than they do head coaches. And now I'm not knocking anybody, but that's just the way it is. You look at things. I think with the way everything is now, what have you done for me lately? I think head coaches need to look at other coordinators or other head coaches from other teams to try and get them in, even if they're, without a job right now. I mean, if you want your team to succeed, you're going to have to start with your defense. And if your coach is a head defensive guy and he's a head coach, he should be implementing his system and not letting his coordinator do that if he's a head coach.
Right.
And I think what he's doing, Judge, as a head coach, he's allowing the system to be ran by his coordinator, but it's not being done the way he wants. And I think he's going to get upset. Now, what week are we in now? 7?
This is week 7, yeah.
Yeah. So this is a make or break point for him.
So Tank brings up a good point. It sucks, but now times they want fast results. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, that's true, Tank. That's true.
Very true.
Now the thing with Judge, he was a special teams coordinator and then also given a responsibility of the wide receiver coach from Belichick. Okay. Now, what I think separates Judge from Schumer and McAdoo has 1 Super Bowl ring. Judge has 3, plus 2 BCS championship rings from when he was at Alabama.
Yep.
That experience, that knowledge that he has from his football career counts for something. To me, that matters. And if he can't, is it his fault that he can't translate that to the field?
Yes.
If it is it his fault, or is it the fact that the players aren't necessarily buying into what he's selling?
It's a mixture of both, and if your coach cannot lead from the front, no one's going to look at him from the field. No one's going to pay attention to him, because if he's not coming down on his coordinators and his defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, and he's allowing the system to do what it's doing, and you're having the results that you're having, you've already lost the locker room. I don't care what anyone says.
Right.
And you're in week 7 already, with 1 win under the bag, the guys at this point are just saying, well, what are we playing for? So,
right.
One, you got to look at it from the inside of the player's mind. Is this guy worth playing for? 2, you got to look at it from coach's perspective and saying, hey, have I lost my coordinators, and are they going to play for me as well? Because me personally, I think he's lost the locker room already.
Well, what makes you come up with that assessment? Like, what makes you think of that?
You look at the play on the field.
Right.
You look at the play on the field, the execution of the defense and offense. And I'm going to say, from seeing it myself firsthand, is when the players don't want to recognize their coach anymore, you can see them trailing the offense. You can see the offense allowing things to happen that shouldn't be allowed, picking up blocks, opening up their lanes on the offensive line. Just look for those little bit of things. They're going to play. They're going to look like they're playing, but they're not playing to their full potential.
So I want to touch base a little on what you're saying, and I'm going to defend Judge in a sense. In the Dallas Giants game, it was competitive.
Yeah,
it was competitive until Saquon got hurt. It was still somewhat competitive until Jones went out.
I agree.
And then even when Galladay went out, I think maybe the competitive edge was lost. And I know the whole cliche next man up, but that could only go for so far. That could only go so far. But when you lose our best player on the team, and then you lose the quarterback on the team, and then not to say anything wrong about Mike Glennon, But Mike Lennon is a journeyman for a reason.
Yeah.
And when he came in, you got to tell me, True Blue, you were not threatened.
No.
You gotta admit to yourself, oh, this ain't Frank Wright. He's not gonna have a comeback story to be on ESPN. It's not gonna happen. And so that's the point I'm trying to make. So, and then this last week with the Giants, and that's I'm just giving you a little pushback
I got you.
from losing the team. So this week, besides Shepard, who did Jones have to throw to? Exactly.
See, but
and then we had Webb that broke his hand. He broke his arm.
yeah.
So the problem with, and I'm not making excuses. I'm just bringing
No.
I'm just bringing the foam up to the cup. You know what I mean? Because you know how you got that coffee and you want that foam.
Yeah.
I'm just let that foam rise so you can see what you're drinking.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is what we was drinking Sunday when Tony went out, when Kadavius went out of the game after he made some damn good moves, to get us a first down, make some great plays. I was hopeful against the Rams. But then when I saw that he sprained his ankle, when I saw that he was walking into the locker room, and then the report came out, I immediately just started watching the game. And I think when and Thomas went out. Thomas was holding his own against Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
He was holding his own. But that's either here nor there. I could see where the perception is Judge may have lost his team, but I think the team might have lost itself.
Well, that's again what I'm leading into is that you're in weeks. We're coming up to week 7, and week 6 is a third of the way there. And I think that's what the players are looking at. They're looking at the stats. They're looking at the wins and losses. They're looking at what they have to do to regain their confidence in order to come back to try and be a playoff team. And when, again, the coordinators, the head coaches don't, have the schemes, don't have the plays on both sides of the balls, the players are not going to buy into what the coach is speaking. And that's the biggest thing. And that's why I take away, you look at you can see the passion from the head coach to the players, but it just doesn't play out like it should. I mean, you can gripe and moan all you want at the players and execution and get frustrated with the opposing team. But if your team's not buying it, it ain't worth selling it.
Right.
And I don't think, what they're doing on that side of the ball is because I'm telling you, I've seen it firsthand. I've seen it firsthand where our players are just so upset at our head coaches, at our coordinators for not trusting our players enough. And that could be something else. And the players realize that. I mean, you got to remember, there's a lot of things we don't see, a lot, and things here. And I think that it plays into a lot of this. And again, these are all grown men. They're professional athletes. But if they don't get the respect that they feel that they should be getting from an organization, they're not gonna jump on board with what they got going on.
Yeah, and I think with Judge, when I first heard him talk, I would run through a wall.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say that he lost that lackluster with the players, but at some point in time, talk could only go so far to where he's going to have to start holding some of the players accountable. His last post-game speech, he was asked, why did you leave Jones in there? Mm-hmm. And, who just got off of a concussion the week before. Yeah, he was cleared by the doctors. He said, I want to see who's going to play for 60 minutes. Now, I like what he was saying. And I hope at the end, who he saw who wasn't playing full 60 minutes, I hope he holds them accountable. Because I'm going to sit here and harp and gripe and bitch and moan about Peterson and how he was preaching about winning. but then he's going to lose when it's convenient to him. I'm holding Peterson accountable. Now I'm going to hold my coach the same accountability, and I want to see some changes if there were some players that weren't playing a full 60 minutes. Now from Facebook land, someone's saying there is not much more to say. They have to fire Dave Gettleman and the coaching staff and draft a quarterback. Now, people are saying they want Louis Riddick, and also as a coach, Bieniemy from the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Now, I'm really curious, and I haven't done my homework yet. Maybe I need to start doing that. But who are we going to bring in for a quarterback from college? Who are we going to draft? We will have 2 number ones.
Yeah.
So we could possibly move up to the number 1 overall if we don't get that by our play this year. What quarterback are we going to get? I would like to get that defensive rusher from Oregon.
Yeah.
People brought that to my attention. I started looking them up, and I like what I see. But the talk is we need a quarterback. Okay, who are we going to get?
I'm going to tell you something that's important that you were touching on right there. You got to listen to the speech Dan Campbell from the Detroit Lions head coach that gave this week and what he did. I don't know if you heard him.
Oh yeah, he called out Goff.
Yeah. And maybe Judge needs to do that as well. Call out some of his players who aren't performing to their expectations. Well, I mean, I'm not saying call them out in public, but you need to call them out.
Okay, I was about to say that because my next response to you was, I don't remember Belichick calling out Tom Brady.
No.
Now what happened behind closed doors? We could only guess. We could only, we only know. Obviously, Brady's no longer there. I don't think that was a good play on his part, because I want you to think about it as a player. Okay, being a quarterback is a high pressured position.
Yep.
And that's what they signed up for. Okay, that's what they played throughout high school. That's what they played throughout college, and now they're in the big time. But when you see a coach calling out a player, regardless of what position it is, what other players see that want to play for him. That's what I always look at when I see that. When I saw that he called out Goff, at first I'm like, you know what? Maybe that'll put some steam in his ass, But then I was like, ooh.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, and from my takeaway from it, the team already knew that he called them out inside the locker room. And I'm sure all of his players knew, and then they just, he basically said, I'm calling you out, because he's not getting the response he wants out of his quarterback. He's being a leader as a head coach.
Right.
So,
hey, Tank, I appreciate you hanging out with us for this whole hour, man. And I'm definitely going to give you some more love. Here we go. Tank says, I feel bad for Daniel Jones. He's a great quarterback, but it's his line that's not showing up, just like David Carr. Houston, Texas buried him with a really bad O-line. And we're building the line. That's the thing. We're building the line around him. If Thomas could stay healthy, if Gates didn't break his leg, I know the what if. I know I'm playing the what if game. Soldiers got taken out and replaced by Pearl because he got burnt again. The line it's a shuffle, and that's another thing that Gettleman took a gamble on last year. He wanted to put depth at the wide receiver core, so he had to sacrifice the offensive line to get what he wanted. Now, so we're down to less than the last minute. True Blue, any final thoughts?
Just gonna enjoy the bye week. Let our guys recoup, especially Dak. Hopefully we'll have Gallimore back and Tank. And Deshaun Watson might be a Miami Dolphin by the end of the week.
Yeah, I heard about that too. Who we got this week? I already forgot that quick. We got, oh shoot. I should know this by now. Oh yeah, that's right. We got Carolina. And they're coming to New York. How about we win this one for the Gipper? And I'll be the Gipper this week. I'll be the Gipper.
Might as well, right?
I appreciate you guys hanging out with us for this
Thanks to
hour.
everybody out there.
Apparently, I guess Philly's having a good time out tonight, rightfully so. Happy birthday, man.
Happy birthday, brother.
Happy birthday, Philly sports guy. You are a true friend, and a true nemesis. And I hope, obviously, he must be having a blast if he didn't want to come in and check in. So,
Well, after banging on that drum last night.
I'm glad you finished with drum because I was about to mute you. You know, after banging on, oh no, what he does on his spare time, that's his business, True Blue. Come on now. All right. Well, we'll talk to y'all later.
Have a good one.
And let's go Giants.
How about them Cowboys?
Ow!